Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video we're going to cover a bunch of different topics, make it a bit of a hodgepodge, basically the changelogs, the roadmaps, and also a few thoughts on the French naval CBT that's going on right now. The other part of it as well is I won't be streaming today. I actually have work stuff to do, so not going to be available, but don't worry, I'll be back tomorrow and we can chat all of the wonderful things from this new update. Anyway, I'm going to get into the topics. I'm going to leave timestamps for everything, so if you only want to see specific stuff, make sure to use them, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started, let's get into it, the good old news of War Thunder. The first part I thought we would have a look at is the first set of bug fixes for the update. So update 2.39.0.15 came out, which came out today after yesterday, the major update coming out, and there was a bunch of weird bugs, to be quite honest, around the place, and also some balance fixes that they've thrown in. For aircraft, the Su-24M, the operator country has been corrected to Russia. It wasn't previously. Some people have talked about the fact that the good old gun pod on the Su-24 doesn't have the whirlybird anymore. That sucks if that's the case. I haven't tested it myself. I've been focusing more on the T1E one and also the naval side of things. A positive thing for the F-16C Block 40 Barak 2, which is of course the Israeli one. It also gets access to JDAMS now. The GBU-31s, they've been added to the internal pylons, which is fantastic for it, giving it more opportunity to do damage. The JF-17, a bug that caused incorrect aircraft behavior when the rudders were fully deflected and held in this position, press and hold pitch, yaw and roll, in mouse aim mode has been fixed. Yeah, the vehicle was basically wobbly all over the place. No idea what he was doing, but they obviously hadn't fixed it since the dev server. It's actually a common issue that a lot of vehicles have on the dev server, but for some reason this one just didn't get fixed, and now it is. So it's in a much better position because it actually works properly now. So fantastic to see that is working. Just kind of talking about a few of those issues. I saw a lot of people talking about a bunch of other bugs for aircraft, as obviously this was kind of an aircraft heavy update. Just understand that these things, as long as you bug report them, will get fixed in time. And I know there's some bugs out there that have been around for years, which people get annoyed at that they haven't been fixed, and I agree, it is annoying, but eventually they will turn up. There are bugs that I have known about for maybe 3 or 4 years that eventually get fixed. It just takes time and obviously effort. When it comes to the naval vehicle side of things, the 7.7mm Darn machine gun, which is on the VTB boats, the early boats for France, the reloading time has been decreased to 5.2 seconds. Which is fantastic because they don't do any damage. The good old VTBs are hilariously poor. They might, I will talk about it a bit later on, but the experience of the early French coastal vehicles is enough to put you off playing French coastal, and this is a problem that every single French tech tree has right now, where the start of it is so hilariously bad. I wouldn't be surprised if people turn around and go, why am I doing this? Why would I not just go play something else? And the 7.7mm Darns are one of the reasons for that, and also the fact there's only 2 of them on each of the vehicles. For locations, the wind settings for small birch trees that made them look unnatural have been corrected, which is lovely to see. Also, the inability to destroy or penetrate through the garages, kiosk, parking posts in various locations such as Subverse 13, Abandoned Town, and many other ground ones with AP and APHE shells has been fixed. I actually ran into that yesterday, where I was trying to shoot things through others with the 90mm from the T1E one, and it just didn't work, and then they would just shoot me back and I would die. Incredibly annoying when stuff like that happens, by the way. Incredibly annoying when the game breaks and you die. It's one of the most frustrating things in War Thunder. I think everybody can agree. In the interface, though, they fixed a lot of stuff with the custom reticle. Talked about it yesterday, where it was really nice to see the custom reticle stuff, but it definitely wasn't finished, okay? It definitely wasn't ready to go, and that seems to be a theme with a lot of the roadmap stuff right now. They seem to have bitten off a bit more than they can chew. And there's several bugs fixing on the custom reticle stuff. So a bug in the site settings menu where a custom reticle would not be displayed when selected if the player did not have any site saved has been fixed. There was also a restriction on the characters used when naming a site configuration and saving it. That's been added, so you can't just like make a wall. A bug in the site settings menu causing there to be no transparent background for all channels except optical in the rangefinder section has been fixed too. And a bug that caused the settings to show a language that did not match the current interface language when starting the game has been fixed too. So, a bunch of interface stuff, and the custom reticle things were really nice, but they weren't really on the dev server for people, and also, at the same time, they obviously needed more testing. And it would have been nice if that happened. Maybe they could have waited a week or something, but as I said before, once we look at the roadmap stuff, you'll see what I mean when I feel like they're a little bit behind on a lot of that, and that's going to make people a little bit more annoyed. Graphics-wise, there was a huge bug, and I feel really bad for people who had this. For some reason, this did not affect me, and I don't really know why. It might be because of the fact that I don't have a powerful enough card. Basically, I have a 3070 on my gaming PC, and there was a bug where enabling DLSS did not disable SSAA, which resulted in frame drops, and that's been fixed. So for me, I can't put on SSAA because I don't have a 4000 series card, but for other people who do, if you're using DLSS, you would also get hammered by the SSAA. So that's why people were really struggling. That's the super sampling. That's the thing that you put on if you want the game to look really nice, but also at the same time, it tanks your performance, which is why, you know, people only really use it if they have very high-end cards and also at the same time have really powerful GPUs. So the fact that that was being forced on people who might not have wanted it or definitely didn't want it, and it was making their frame rate go from like 150 FPS to like 40, it's crazy. And you've always got to watch out for those bugs. A lot of them do happen after updates come out, so just be vigilant on that one, because that has happened to me many times where an update has come out and it flicks some switches in terms of which graphic stuff it turns on and off, and that's what focuses on it. The other thing to also look at is the dynamic light one, which is in the options. If you go to your options and then you go to the post FX settings, which are in main parameters, if dynamic light has been toggled on, then you may be seeing stuff which is slightly different compared to before, because that is something, or dynamic illumination as it's called, but that's something that gets toggled on and off depending on what update you're looking at so many times. It's really annoying. There was also another bug which caused the tank models to become low poly up close has been fixed. I don't know if you've seen the low poly tank models, but they are hilarious. They look absolutely fantastic. It's like going back in time by like 20 years. And, well, not even 20 years, maybe 30 years at this point with gaming. But yeah, it's not something you should see which is close to you. Very much designed for like a large distance kind of thing. So that's the set of bug fixes so far for this update. I'm sure there'll be many more because this update was pretty heavy. I just wanted to mention the roadmap here because, to be quite honest, I'm pretty disappointed in what has come out this update and what was supposed to come out when it came to the roadmap. They were pretty silent about the roadmap for maybe a month or two, apart from some very specific changes in it, and I can kind of see why now. They ended up putting the roadmap in the change logs for the update Dance of Dragons, and they've changed it, and basically instead of it saying summer of 2024, it now says Summer of 2024 and Dance of Dragons major updates. But even then, right now, I mean, summer, at least for me, doesn't last much longer. You basically got a week or 2 weeks and that's it. And we have 4 things that have been completed. You got, of course, the new mechanics for the exit zones, detailed damage for helicopters, which let's be honest, it's for like 2 helicopters, one set of helicopters, the Apaches, and then the K-52. So the idea that this is like corrected and done, no, you are maybe 10% of the way through. You haven't even added it to the K-50. Like, it's so ridiculous. So the idea that that's ticked, that one is definitely still in progress. Also, the new reticle for modern tanks, I'd say that one's been pretty much implemented. Notification for when a reported player has been banned, that's also done. And the 2 things which are ongoing are the APHE shells and also the research bonuses for new nations, which is obviously 2 of the hot button topics which are being discussed. So the fact that they're ongoing and being thought about, that's fine. But then there are 7 other things that have not been implemented or even talked about. You have the radio fuses and being able to enable them specifically for yourself. You have the construction of ammo boxes, which just hasn't turned up and is just kind of sad there. You have the updated crew models, which was supposed to be for the USMC ground stuff for the Cold War, the USA and Swedish air crews with HMD, and then also late British and German air crews. They haven't appeared. The ability to recycle items that are not needed in, your inventory. Then social features, customization of the player card window. I was really looking forward to this. Still haven't seen anything for it. Improving the destruction replay screen. That sounded really cool. And also having the mini card of the player who destroyed you. That sounded awesome. Nothing has been talked about it. And then also public squads and mechanics for searching of a squad based on interest of other players in game. So what you have, according to Gaijin, is out of these 11 things that were supposed to already be implemented, 4 of them are completed, with 1 of them definitely not being fully completed, 2 of them ongoing, and 7 of them, nothing's gone on. That sucks, and this is why I don't like roadmaps, because it gives you a false impression of what's actually going to come. I thought what we were going to get is we were going to get a roadmap, which would be the first part of the year, for the first 6 to 8 months, and then you get a roadmap for the second one. But right now, what this roadmap is looking like is basically just going to take all year. Now, I'm incredibly patient, and I don't mind if this stuff ends up, taking a bit more time. That's completely fine, especially stuff like the APHE and the research bonuses. But it just sucks, because you are looking forward to something that is supposed to come out at a specific time, and then it just doesn't, and that's just sad. I also wanted to throw in a few thoughts about French Coastal. I was able to get access to the CVT through Gaijin. I requested it and played a bunch of it yesterday, and will play a bunch of it over the next few days. I've got to say, the start of the Coastal Fleet is horrendous. The VTB-8, the 11, and the 14, their redeeming factors are incredibly low. Their torpedoes are fast, but they have a low distance, but that's okay. At the tier, it generally is okay. And then the speed is great, but they don't do any damage. And I liken them to something like the MBT-1, which is in the British tech tree. But the MBT-1 has 8 7.7 Lewis machine guns, right? And then also you have the Vosper-1, which once again has 8 7.7s on these vehicles. You also get access to a Fairmile at 1.0, which has a 3-pounder gun, which can just donk people, which is super fun. For France, you get 3 vehicles to start your tech tree with, which all have 2 of these 7.7 Dan M1922 machine guns, which do actually no damage unless you're right next to the target. So this just creates a horrific experience for you to play. When you play against stuff like an LS3, which is a reserve for Germany, the LS3 can destroy you. There is not even a competition between you. Same with the G5, which is the reserve for the Soviets with the 12.7, and of course the PT6, which is the reserve for the Americans, which has access to the 50 cals. All of them can destroy you before you even get into range to be able to do damage. The time that I actually started enjoying these vehicles is when I got to the VTB-13, which once again keeps the speed, which is great, and has a 20mm. Same with the VTB-19, and then the MTB-96 gets access to better torpedoes and more of a standard MTB setup since it's a British vehicle. So basically, the start of this tech tree is horrendous, and I don't know whether this is just like something that has to happen with France. The start of their aviation tech tree is horrendous. The start of their helicopter tree is horrendous. The start of their ground tech tree was horrendous. It's a little bit better now. The only area where they excel at the start of their tech trees is the coastal fleet. Is the blue water fleet, and that just makes me sad. I don't know why this has to happen. And as I said, I've enjoyed the VTB13, the 19 and the MTB96. I'm looking forward to playing more of the French coastal with stuff like the L9059, but I don't know why France has to do this trial by fire every time there is a new update that comes out for it, and it just sucks. It really does. I would like to have some more positive experiences when I'm playing these vehicles, because it's not as if these positive experiences don't exist in other tech trees. Every other tech tree at 1.0 has better vehicles than France. You know, even the Italians, which have a pretty weak, set of vehicles, they still get 20mm on their reserve vehicles. Even Japan, with their T14, they still get a 13.2, which does way more damage than the standard, French starter 3 vehicles. It was so easy to play the VTB13, I ended up spading it in 2 matches, but I honestly think that's just because I was so annihilated by playing the other 3. I'm very happy I got them spaded within 2 or 3 hours, so therefore I just don't ever have to touch them again, but I really, really feel like adding them was a mistake. These feel like vehicles that get removed after a while because they really feel bad for the player. Anyway, that's a few early thoughts for the French stuff. I will be playing a bit more, looking forward to the Arras and the L9059 and some of the other ones that I can mix in with the Blue Water Fleet. But as always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.